To become a better leader, whether that's in business, in sports, or in life, and you haven't found a book yet to help you get to that game-changing aha moment, well, we have the book for you. Tighten the Lug Nuts, the principles of balanced leadership. Tighten the Lug Nuts will help you get to that game-changing leadership moment. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iBooks, or at 360managementservices.com. That's the number 360managementservices.com. Pick up your copy today and start changing your leadership styles.
Now it's time for the show. Emo, you be the judge. Do this look like work to you? Nah. Looking at the lights like it's all of this for me. Everyone tonight is here. All of this for me. Hands in the air, yeah. All of this for me. Bottles over here. All of this for me. For me. All of this for me. For me. All of this for me. For me. Light fast, light flash. All of this for me. For me. All of this for me. For me. All of this for me. For me. Bottles bringing bottles out. All of this for me. For me. You for real?
Hello, and welcome into another edition of The Rome Show, February 24th, 2020. It is 7:05 here at Hamilton Radio, hamiltonradio.net, Channel 2. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. Alongside me, my brother, Rocky Romanella.
How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing outstanding.
We have a fantastic show for you lined up here on The Rome Show. Remember, you can get on the phone line 609-807-2492 the entire show. Get us at facebook.com/The Rome Show 1. You could tune in there, comment on the Facebook section. You can get us on Twitter at Coach Romo24. Multiple ways to get on the show. A lot of hockey, a lot of baseball, and some other stuff on the show today for the Romo Sapiens Rock.
No, there's a lot of things in the sports world going on right now. Like not even a lot of things, but there's just like a lot of cool little stories, a lot of like niche stories, like the Wilder Fury fight on Saturday night. Like, you know, no one watched NASCAR on Sunday,
But you.
or a Mexican golf championship on Saturday and Sunday. But I mean, there's a lot of sports stuff. No one's talking about the XFL today after week 3.
Well, and that's what happens now,
Yeah.
because now they're competing with the playoffs coming up and the trade deadline for hockey, the playoffs coming up for basketball.
Yeah.
You have
Spring training.
right? And then you do mention golf. It actually matters to some people.
I know, and you know what? The worst thing in sports is about to happen too. Do you know what it is?
The worst thing in sports,
Yeah.
the NFL Combine.
Yeah.
100% the worst thing in sports. How we judge kids and when we're going to draft them based on that, mind-blowing.
I watched a slow motion video of Saquon Barkley running a 4.140 like this today on Twitter. Like, oh my gosh! Like,
Why am I
remember when
watching
this
this?
happened at the combine? I was like, not really.
Before we get into the straight off the Rome, I didn't get to see the Wilder Fury fight because I was working. Did you get a chance to see it? Were you surprised by the 7th round knockout by Fury?
No, I love the pictures of Fury from 3 years ago when he's got a huge beer belly.
Yes.
And
He's a big man.
That's a big
a
dude.
big dude.
I don't know if I want to get punched in the face by that guy.
No.
No, that's it.
Oh, that's all you got for me on the fight?
No, I thought Wilder had a bad interview, like either today or after. He said like his outfit in the pregame was the reason why he was like distracted and sucked.
Yeah, like what are we doing? Then don't wear a 45-pound suit to walk into your boxing match.
No, I know. It was bad news.
I thought it was a good day for boxing. That's the one note I thought I had.
there was more people talking about the fight
Yes.
than
Normal.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when is boxing in the last 20 years really fully mattered?
No, it's matter because you had the Contender stuff, so they worked hard, and Rocky came out with a couple more movies. So boxing's been in the realm.
You just referenced the
And,
television show and movies.
I mean, Mark Wahlberg came out with The Fighter, too, so that was a good one in the mix there over the course of the last 20 years. But really, no, if you have to mark the 2000 era, it's really the rise of UFC.
Yes, 100%.
Right.
I would agree with that 1,000%. Well, I mean, that's all I got for you on Boxing Day. I just wanted to see if you watched the fight and had an opinion on it.
I mean, I have an opinion on boxing, and I just shared it with you. It's that I think there are better boxing movies than there are real-life boxing matches sometimes.
It does tell a lot. 609-807-2492 if you want to give us your boxing opinion, or if somebody that's more knowledgeable about the sport wants to call in and tell us some stuff. Straight off the Rome today is going to fire Rocky up
Yes, it is.
because it comes from the National Hockey League. Okay? So if you haven't heard this story yet, well, then I need you to sit down for a few minutes and I need you to listen to what happened in the Carolina Hurricanes versus Toronto Maple Leafs game. Was it last night?
It was Saturday
nights.
night.
Saturday night.
It was during the Wilder Fury night.
On Saturday night. So, a guy by the name of David Ayres, okay? David Ayres is the Zamboni driver for the Toronto Marlies, the AHL affiliate, other words, minor league affiliate, for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, before we tell you the story, we're going to explain this concept to you so everyone understands what an emergency backup goaltender is in the NHL. So, Rocky, the floor is yours because you also have a friend that is an emergency backup goalie for the one Madison Square Garden.
Two former teammates, actually.
Two former
Two
teammates.
former teammates. So the emergency goaltender is exactly the name, the emergency goaltender. So on an NHL roster, you have 20 people dressed in the lineup, and you only have, I think it's 23. So you only have 3 guys in the stands. Everyone else is either in the system or like on the IR, right? So, and there's always only 2 goalie spots. So every team only has 2 goalies. And every home team has to provide an emergency backup goalie. So that's someone who sits in the stands, who is at the ready for either team in case both goalies happen to get hurt.
And that's the key, right, for either team. It's
Yeah,
not, even if they're provided by the Rangers, they could play for the opposing
Yes,
team.
and that's actually what happened on Saturday night for David Ayres. He's actually the Toronto Maple Leafs emergency goaltender, and so he actually went in for the Carolina Hurricanes. So it's very rare. I believe it's only happened in the NHL 3 times. As recently as actually a couple years ago, it happened in Chicago, where a former Division I player, now accountant, ended up getting in a couple minutes for the Chicago Blackhawks.
I do remember that.
Yeah. So we have 2 former University of Delaware Fighting Blue and hockey players that are emergency tenders right now. You've got Kurt Flume, who
Has been on this show before.
That's right. So Kurt is also the starting goaltender for the FDNY. He's a New York City Fire Department, and so he plays for their team, and he does 11 games for the Rangers every year. And then we also have S.J. Bro, actually another ADP guy now, but he is actually an emergency tender for the New Jersey Devils.
I love that you use tender.
Yeah,
That's so hockey of
that's
you.
slang for goaltender.
So, why we're telling you all this is because on Saturday night, David Ayres, a 42-year-old Zamboni driver for the AHL affiliate of the Toronto Maple Leafs, knew going into the game that he was going to be the backup goalie that evening for the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina Hurricanes starting goaltender got hurt. They didn't have an opportunity to bring up their AHL goaltender to be the backup for that game. So they asked the Toronto Maple Leafs, can you please provide us your emergency backup goaltender?
Well, they have to.
Have to.
Yeah,
it's
not like-
mandatory.
yeah.
So David Ayres, wearing all blue pads, by the way,
I know, I love it.
provided by the Toronto Maple Leafs, is the backup goalie for the Hurricanes. Well, the starting goalie for the Hurricanes that evening got hurt. Therefore, David Ayres had to come into a game with which the Carolina Hurricanes were winning 3-1. Okay? So he comes into the game. Carolina immediately scores a goal. The next 2 shots that Toronto takes, goals. So now it's 4-3. So everyone and their mother's got to be thinking, like,
I was going to be
it's going to be downhill from here.
dude, 10
You,
goals.
you feel bad for the guy, but hey, he got into an NHL game. Well, no. David Ayres goes on to make 8 saves over the course of the rest of the game. I think it was the third period.
It was a period and a half. 'Cause
Was
he
it a
came in
half,
in the
too?
second, yeah.
Okay. So that's cool because he got a locker room talk in, too. That's
Yeah,
kind of
no
cool,
doubt.
too, right? He makes 8 saves over the course of the rest of the game and gets his first NHL win in his only NHL debut, which means that David Ayres is now the oldest player in NHL history to ever win his debut.
It's amazing.
The coolest story I've ever heard.
I think no, it's so cool. And they Rob Rendermore, the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, his speech after the game was amazing. So David Ayres, they make him the first star, right? So he's on the ice, he gets recognition from the fans, and when he came into the locker room, they like showered him with like I don't know, whatever. They were throwing
that's
water on him.
awesome.
It was great. And then Rob Rendermore, the coach, is like, listen, there are He's like, there are just moments in like when you're playing or when you're coaching of individual games that you'll never forget. It's like this is one of them. Like this is just one of those memories you're gonna have. Like that guy, like how good does that guy feel? He's been on Golic and Wingo. He's been on NHL Network. Like he's been on all the shows.
And he's a Zamboni driver
Dude,
from
I
Toronto.
know. I know. Guy had a kidney transplant 15 years ago.
Yeah, I heard it. Is this correct? Because I heard this, but I hadn't been able to read anything yet. Was it that his mom gave him the kidney transplant?
Yeah, his mom gave him the kidney transplant.
And so she was the donor for him. That's pretty great. So the main message for me straight off the Rome, besides the fact that you need to give David Ayres his due, but the main message for me, Rock, sports is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
This is why we watch sports. You watch sports for moments like this. That's the reason. You get a David Ayres moment.
Yeah,
You get a David Tyree moment.
sick.
A guy that didn't catch one pass leading up to the Super Bowl.
Didn't even have a job after he
Didn't
won
have
the game.
a job after the game, but made one of the biggest catches in Giants history. This is why you play. This is why you watch sports. And for me, in a time when, and today was a sad day in LA because they did the official mourning of Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Vanessa Bryant spoke. Michael Jordan spoke. Shaq spoke. A lot of people were there to speak. They did it fantastically. You look at it in that light, too, and you say, these are the reasons why sports are great for people. They help you in time of mourning. They give you stories that can help pick you up. They give people hope in certain areas when you didn't expect them to. So I thought that hearing it and seeing it and understanding that is such a unique scenario, and I think it being pretty cool that a friend of the show, I don't wish injury upon many, but
If Kurt could get into a game.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
no, definitely. Yeah, no doubt.
That would be the greatest moment ever.
No, of course.
So I thought that was really cool, and now I sit here hoping for more emergency tender conversation.
Tendy.
The tendy. I want to swing that, though, right into hockey talk because we're on the subject,
Yes.
and I want to give you some opportunity to express the trade deadline feels. Before I do that, though, I'm going to read you a Facebook comment that I see you responded to, but I want to give you the chance to respond to the Romo Sapiens on air. Okay, so a one Ricky Ricardo Palmer
Love it.
has timed into the Rome Show for the first time in his career as a Romo Sapien. And he wanted us to say this. I'm a first-time listener, Ricky Ricardo Palmer. And the first time I ever met Rocky, I threw a no-hit, 1-0 winner in wiffle ball.
Absolutely false.
Real?
Absolutely
Really?
false.
Did you protest this match?
Oh, no, I won.
Oh, give us your side of the story.
So we were at it was like an outdoor barbecue, all day barbecue, and me and Ricky were just like, let's do something fun.
Some adult sodas were definitely being slushed.
Absolutely. And we had a wiffle ball and a bat, and we found a area of the yard that was off to the side, but 100% still encroaching on everyone's business, where we could play fast pitch wiffle ball. So, and I don't know if you know fast pitch. It's literally full wind up, and
Yeah.
you're throwing curveballs, slurve balls, sinkers, wiffles, and risers.
It's like you're in Game 7 of the Wiffle Ball World Series.
It is a ridiculous. So we start playing, and when you find someone who has the same commitment to competitive nature in like a just not in a not right setting as you do, it's really fun. So Ricky and I embark on this journey where we're playing wiffle ball, and so we play a full 9-inning game,
Oh, wow.
2 outs apiece, right?
You went the
Ghost
distance.
runners, ghost runners, the whole thing. And if I remember correctly, I came out to an early lead. I want to say it was like I was holding like a 2-1 lead for like the whole game, and then Ricky got some momentum in like the 6th, 7th, and 8th, and ended up tying. He either was tying or he took the lead, and in walk-off fashion, I hit a rope over the left field deck, and won the wiffle ball match.
So, how does that story translate into a 1-0 no-hitter?
Well, listen, when you lose, obviously, and he doesn't know anyone on the show, so I mean, now people think I'm lying.
All right,
You know.
Ricardo, listen. 609-807-2492. I'm actually going to write that in the comments form right now
Nice.
because I want Ricky's side of the story because as an avid wiffle ball player against Rocky myself, I do understand his competitive nature in the scenario. especially when he's on the hill. Like you would think, most people think about wiffle ball and they say to themselves, oh man, I love hitting home runs. I love roping the ball. No, not Rocky. Rocky legitimately thrives on the opportunity to strike people out and throw balls that do crazy things.
I will sign up for any wiffle ball game, and I will volunteer to be the automatic pitcher.
I say we put together a Rome Show charity wiffle ball match.
I'm in.
Could you play that on a Little League Diamond?
Yes.
Would you play it on a Little League Diamond?
I would like people to we should do like a 50-50 pot. Like you put in $20. If you can get a hit, like if you can hit a home run off me, like you can win or something.
Yeah, but that's 200 feet. You think that a wiffle ball can travel that far?
They're not going to touch the ball.
Wow. Well, I hope Ricky calls in. Mr. Ricardo,
We'll see.
the phone line is open. 609-807-2492 if you want to get in on the Rome Show action. Facebook.com/The Rome Show. HamiltonRadio.com, .net, channel 2 if you want to tune in. And you don't want to see our faces on the Facebook. That's your call because you're missing out on the fire logo that the Rome Show has. And so, are we working on some apparel?
This is outstanding.
Are we working on some apparel? While we do that, we're going to talk a little hockey here, a little bit more on the Rome Show. So, for those of you that don't know, the NHL trade deadline is upon us.
It actually ended today at 3 o'clock.
So it ended today upon us at 3 o'clock. Okay. And the Rangers, your beloved Rangers, made some moves. But so did all tri-state area teams. That includes the Islanders and the Devils.
There was a lot. There was a very active day today, and it was really exciting monitoring the Twitter feed today.
It was awesome.
And it was great too because for me, it was just like I was in my own world because I knew I couldn't share any of the details with anyone but my just Rangers only friends, because it's not like anyone in the office was looking at their Twitter feed about the trade deadline.
No. But you were.
No, I was.
The leader of the men and women was.
That's right.
What you found on your Twitter feed was that both the Rangers and the Islanders made moves to help their playoff push, and the Devils made moves to help their long-term success.
Yeah, no one can really figure out the Wayne Simmons move from the Devils to the Sabres on either side.
No, because I don't know why the Sabres wanted Wayne Simmons.
On either side, and your boy Jacques Lemaire.
Yeah.
It's not Jacques Lemaire. It's
No, it's not.
I know, but Lou Lamoriello
There you go.
with the Islanders may have pulled off. It could be the steal of this trade deadline.
So give it to us because
Jean-Gabriel Pageau or JG Pageau. So JC Pageau. No one even knows. No one know. It's not like
funny. It's not like you hear like Tom Brady's name and people know what the hell you're talking about.
This guy's JG Pageau.
Before you explain it,
yeah,
just so the Romo Sapiens understand, okay? We're talking about a guy that's good enough to not only be traded to a playoff contender, but then be signed by that current contender.
6-year extension for $4 million a year.
And
like the guy's
no one knows his name.
The guy's an A player, like for sure. Down the middle, he's a great centerman, and he's been in contract talks like all year with the Senators. Who, by the way, if you judge the Senators, probably had a great trade deadline in their fire sale.
Sure.
Their fire sale got them a lot in
what
return.
they got back.
Yeah, so they needed to break it down.
So explain Pageau.
So Pageau is just a good, skilled young centerman, and he'll really help the Islanders playoff push. But I think he's going to end up being one of those guys that makes a lot of people upset down the road.
Really?
I think he's going to score goals. He's going to be a really big asset for the Islanders.
Oh, so you think it's going to make them upset like they got rid of him? Not that the Islanders are going to be upset.
I think people are going to be
him.
like, I can't believe we weren't
Why
in
did,
that.
Yes.
How did we that's it's such a Lou Lamoriello move.
Yeah.
And
so for those of you that don't have any background on Lou Lamoriello, he built the Devils dynasty.
Yeah, and it just makes you think he's that much better.
But then went to Toronto and brought them out of the 40-year grave that they were in.
Yes.
And now has gone to the Islanders and done literally the exact same thing.
No, I know. And he just has such a good eye for talent that makes you think that.
But don't you think it's like a structural thing?
But that's why you got Barry Trotz as the head coach. Lou Lamoriello, he's always had structure because he always comes down and coaches the team after he fires the head coach. He's done it 3 times in his career. But I think the structure, he's got Barry Trotz now, so he just has to worry about the talent.
And before you get into some more trades, Barry Trotz, I like being the person that gives people the background on the hockey. Because I know we're working with some novice hockey fans here, so
Yeah.
I want them to understand what we're talking about. Barry Trotz, for those of you that may not know, in 2018, right?
So
won
2
the
seasons
Stanley
ago,
Cup.
yes.
Yeah, won the Stanley Cup as the head coach of the Washington Capitals, which was a huge Stanley Cup because so many times the Capitals have been so good. Sometimes won the President's Trophy for the best record in the NHL, and then would lose in the first round, or get to the second round, couldn't get past the Pittsburgh Penguins. Just a whole host of things.
Penguins, man.
Finally took them over the edge.
Yeah.
Then they couldn't agree on a contract extension because his contract was up in Washington. And at the same time, Lou Lamoriello got the job with the Islanders. And to your statement earlier, such a Lou Lamoriello move to be able to not only get the job with the Islanders, but then fire the current coach and be able to hire the last Stanley Cup winning championship coach,
Yeah.
who, then, by the way, brought the Islanders to the playoffs last year.
Yes, no doubt. No, it was a great signing. And by the way, Barry Trotz also known for being the first ever head coach in Nashville Predators history.
Yes, that's right.
Right? So he's got a great career behind him. He built that organization from a coaching standpoint. Again, won the Stanley Cup with the Caps, which is just amazing. And by the way, Caps picking up a former Devil and Ilya Kovalchuk.
Yeah,
at
how
the
about
deadline.
that?
I
Where
know.
was he playing?
Montreal?
That's it, because I saw the video of him. Did you see that?
With his son.
Oh
Awesome. With
my
his sons.
God. If you have a chance, yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually a big deal though, because it wasn't about Kovalchuk sucking.
What was it about?
It was about, like, the Canadians put a statement out like, "Yo, we love this guy," but like it was a great move for him, great move for the organization.
Sure.
Like,
I mean,
so-
he's 35 years old.
And by the way, he is obviously a Russian-born player now with Nicholas Backstrom and Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, and also, just to be the backstory guy again, Ilya Kovalchuk famously signed a 10-year, like $100 million contract with the New Jersey Devils, with which actually almost got voided because they backloaded the contract so much that the NHL deemed that it wasn't appropriate. 3 years into that contract, Kovalchuk up and left to go back to the KHL in Russia so he
Yeah.
could play in his home country.
Craziness.
And now has since come back to the NHL, 2 years ago?
Yeah, he was a dud in LA. I mean,
Yep.
he played well
He
in
played
LA
all right.
last
Yeah, yeah.
year. Okay this year. Moved to Montreal, needed a piece, needed skill. LA just doesn't have it, so it was a good move there. And then, I guess the Caps. I mean, you got to think Ovi and Backstrom had a lot to do with that.
And how do you feel about the OV 700 goal? Because we talked about this
I
last
love it,
week,
man.
And has since gotten the
And
goal.
it was a snipe.
Snipe. It was such a goal that Ovechkin would score. Now, to touch back on our conversation we had with me, you, and Steven,
Yeah.
who, by the way, Rocky had the chance to meet in person this
Yeah, it
weekend.
was nice.
Fantastic.
It's a good time.
Do you feel that he can break the record?
Yeah, he's going to.
Really?
Yeah, he's going.
I feel like you didn't have this much conviction last
no,
week.
he's going to break it.
It's just so easy for him.
He's a natural.
so
goal scorer.
easy for
You
him.
know what? I saw 2 reports. I saw a report on the projection and what year he could do it, and then I saw his year-over-year goal production, and he's just never gonna stop.
Right. It doesn't look like he's slowing down.
No, he's not.
I'm curious. All right, so keep going on with the trades because I know you want to get to the Rangers stuff because you're super amped about what
Yeah, I'll
they did.
give you the Ranger stuff after, but I'll just give you a rundown. I'm gonna give you.
Who are we getting first?
I'm gonna give you 2. I'm gonna give you just a couple notable moves on an individual basis, and then I'm gonna give you some of the teams I think who were winners and losers.
Got it. Go ahead.
All right. So first of all, pay attention to the Vegas Golden Knights.
I'll be over here just hanging.
Pay attention to the Vegas Golden Knights, who traded Malcolm Subban, and they got Robin Leonard back from Chicago Blackhawks. There was like another forward in that deal too, but it's significant. Andrew just had a drink of water and it went down the wrong pipe. But that trade is
When you
good?
drink coffee and water together?
Yeah, it's not good.
Nope.
That trade's significant because Robin Leonard was a Vezina finalist last year, and for those of you who don't know, a Vezina finalist is the equivalent to a Cy Young Award winner in baseball. So he's a really good goaltender. They already have a good piece there. But pay attention, Carolina Hurricanes, big movers today. They
Traded
picked up
David Ayers. No.
yeah, they picked up 3 defensemen, Sammy Vatanen, Eric Gustafson, and Brady Shea. Devils, Blackhawks, and Panthers all in those deals, and a forward in Vincent Trocheck from the Panthers, who is a great piece. So Carolina just lost both goaltenders, right? But they have a very good team. They're in a wild card spot right now, so let's see if that was enough to get them over the hump. The Edmonton Oilers had a huge day. They get Tyler Ennis from the Senators, who's just a little 5'6" fast forward, who obviously we love.
Oh, love a good 5'6" forward.
And I don't know much about the dudes from the Red Wings, but they picked up a guy named Andreas Athanasiou.
That's the most relatable you've been in this whole segment to
So,
everybody.
but for whatever reason, keep an eye on this Andreas guy from the Red Wings because it made waves across the NHL today.
Okay.
And they also got Mike Green, a former D of the Capitals.
Yeah.
So I think the Edmonton, I mean, this is their best team in the last 5-10 years, and Connor McDavid's playing better than
He's
ever.
so good.
So he just
Oh
got
my
hurt
gosh.
though. So keep an eye out for them. Quietly, three really good Eastern Conference teams got even better. The Tampa Bay Lightning, they get a defenseman in Zach Bogosian, who is he's a veteran guy. And they got another guy named Blake Coleman. So they quietly added depth.
Former Jersey Devil.
And just for the record, another a really important piece in hockey. The Boston Bruins, Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Pittsburgh Penguins, all in hockey terms, got some players that are known, but in any other sport, these would be like deals not even really talked about because they're depth deals.
So why is that different? Is it because there's 4 lines in hockey? Because you have to have so much depth in areas?
It's because there's not one Stanley Cup winner who you don't say, wow, their third and fourth line were great.
So can you explain to people that are listening to you break down the trades and try and explain to them what that even means? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, when you think about baseball, you're right. You don't think about the 13th guy mattering. Me, the baseball coach, does.
Yeah. As
the pinch hitter, as the pinch runner, as the defensive replacement.
Yeah.
But the average person doesn't. So when you say third or fourth line, they're probably just thinking, like, well, what does he mean by that? Like, why is there 3 or 4 lines?
No, well, there's 4 lines because it's impossible. It's physically impossible to skate at full speed for more than 45 seconds. Physically impossible. Number one.
Oh, I know.
Number two. I mean, so you build out. So your first lines is most likely your best point getting line. Like they're your skill guys. Like they can kind of do it all. They're power play guys.
This would be the Alex Ovechkin line.
Right. Yeah. This is so the best line in the NHL right now. It's in Boston. It's Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, and Patrice Bergeron. Like just ton of points. Right. Second line. Now I love second lines because if you do it right, they can score just as many goals, and they're almost a little bit more valuable because they might be a little bit more defensive minded. Right. So there's your second line. Your third line is historically just a tough line, but also has goal scoring ability. A lot of times your third line will play against the opposing team's top line.
Why is that though? Because if you're trying to counteract goal scoring with goal scoring, you really do take the defense in consideration?
So
there?
in the playoffs, you'll see more one-on, like first line, second line, and you go straight through your depth chart, and you put your best at each position at their best, and you go. And then there's games where you're just playing the X's and O's, and you want to take your defensive unit and you want to shut their number one unit down, and that way your top line gets a better matchup by doing that too. Right, so your top line can maybe match up against their second, third, or fourth line. So there's a couple different reasons why you would do that.
Now, as the opposing coach, right, is it more frustrating than ever when you're in a big game and a fourth line finds a way to put a biscuit in the basket?
Nah, I mean, listen, you just don't like getting scored on. It
That's
doesn't
a
matter
hockey
who
term,
it is.
by the way.
It doesn't matter who it is. You don't want to get scored on.
Yeah, so no one looks at it as that way then.
No, but you look at it when at the end of the game you win 1-0 in a tight game and the only goal scored was
the
the fourth line.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it different. So that's why when you look at the Bruins, the Lightning, and the Penguins, all the moves at the deadline, like those guys added depth.
Yes. And
right?
depth that most common folk would not necessarily understand.
Like I mean, adding Jason Zucker from the Minnesota Wild to the Pittsburgh Penguins, to me that's a big deal. Right, because Zucker was a second-line guy for the Penguins, had a very big coming out about 2-3 years ago, but no one's really heard of him too much. He's kind of stabled out. But again, you're looking at the second, third, fourth line of an injury-depleted Penguins team, and you're like, man, they're surging right now. They just played the Caps for first place on Sunday. It was a sick game. These guys, they're winners. They've won 2 cups with Sidney Crosby. He's feeling good. You gotta look out.
I think most people just thought you mentioned the guy that started Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Mark Zuckerberg got traded to the
Jason
Penguins?
Zucker.
Yeah, sounds right.
No.
Before we move on here, because we're about to be up against a break, the Rangers.
Yes.
They re-signed Chris Kreider,
7 years, $6.5 million a year.
and a lot of people are saying that number, 6.5 a year, is a lot less than he might have gotten on the open market. Is this true?
I don't know. I think it's probably right exactly where he's at.
Really?
I think it's a perfect number. I mean, if you look at someone like Henrik Lundqvist, who's coming off a very similar deal, 8 years, $8 million a year.
It's
so
not different for a goalkeeper.
Oh, well, it is. Well, I'm just trying to compare caliber. So, like, you've got Lundqvist, who obviously goaltender's most important piece, but Kreider's a first, second line guy who kills penalties and is on the power play. So, like, I mean, $6.5 million a year is an A minus, B plus. It's more of he's an A guy. He's an A player over $5 million a year, right? You're an A player over $5 million. I love it. I think Kreider played for this his whole year. I think he was either playing to get a great trade deal or playing for a deal to stay with the Rangers. And based on his play this year, in my opinion, it's Kreider's best year of his career.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people have said that, and the play has spoken for itself. And the only thing that scares me, not scares, but one thing I always look at with contracts like this, and this is in any sport, is when a guy has his best year looking for a contract, what do you get after the contract?
I know, I hate it.
You know, like,
Yeah.
And I don't know if Chris Kreider's that guy, but the fact of the matter is he's had times in his career where he's disappeared.
Well, the best thing about the deal now is that you're done with the rebuild.
Yes.
Right? So
You're set.
So if you're the New York Rangers and you get to the deadline and you're 10 points out of a playoff spot, you're selling Chris Kreider to the Colorado Avalanche today.
Yes.
If you are the Rangers, who are surging, have shown nothing but promise, nothing but we've pulled every lever the right way. We've got the depth in goal. We've got the depth at D. We need a couple more pieces on the front end, and next year we're Stanley Cup contender, right? So when you see that, and I think Kreider could feel that too. The organization could feel it. You're not only like when you get into next year, you're a Stanley Cup team, so you don't have to have. Maybe you won't feel the letdown from Kreider. Right,
That makes sense.
you should be you might make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, you're right. And then you have 7 years with which you're building towards, with a
Yeah.
lot of young pieces to work with.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's take a break. All right, we got to pay some bills up in here. All right, we will come back on the second half of this show. If we need to finish any of the Rocky hockey discussion, we can get into that because we haven't talked about Mr. Skiji being traded by the Rangers as well. Plus, we got a little bit of game show atmosphere baseball questions for the Rock Man. We got to get into spring training.
Yes.
And so much more. It's the Rome Show. Andrew Romanella, Rocky Romanella, taking you all the way up until the 8 o'clock hour. We will be back right after this quick break. Are you looking to become a better leader, whether that's in business, in sports, or in life, and you haven't found a book yet to help you get to that game-changing aha moment? Well, we have the book for you. Tighten the Lug Nuts, the Principles of Balanced Leadership. Tighten the Lug Nuts will help you get to that game-changing leadership moment. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iBooks, or at 360managementservices.com. That's the number 360managementservices.com. Pick up your copy today and start changing your leadership styles. Hello and welcome back into the Rome Show here, February 24th, 2020. Hamilton Radio, hamiltonradio.net, channel 2, facebook.com/The Rome Show. Andrew Romanella, Rocky Romanella. We're taking you all the way up until the 8 o'clock hour. We have a great show lined up for you here that you can get on at any time. 609-807-2492. That's the phone line. It is open all day. Our producer, Ruben, he's sitting back there, hands ready for the phone to ring so he can get you on the Rome Show. You can comment on the Facebook. We've had a bunch. I saw somebody right in there. Shout out to Blue Hens Hockey. Tagged a few of your buddies, Bailey, Dave Lombardi, Shane Poulier. How about them apples?
I love Shane.
Shane Poulier, Dave Lombardi, Justin Stouch. So a little shout out for the Blue Hens
That's right. UD hockey for life.
on the Facebook page. You gotta love that.
You know.
UD, you know that you are the best emergency goaltenders in the league. I'm going to give you a minute here before we get our supermarket sweep game show baseball in.
Let's do it.
Finish your Rangers trade feels.
Can I? Oh, all right. So, wait. I have a really funny hockey write-in.
Right in.
It was a
Go
text
ahead.
message. Half of what you said made no sense to me. All these Russian names. but I do feel smarter going into the playoffs.
Is that your wife?
Yeah.
How did I know?
I know. That's funny. I think a lot of people might have felt that way, though.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I feel like it is my duty to the Romo Sapiens to be the guy that explains the hockey stuff.
That's right.
While you try and explain the hockey stuff.
That's right. So I'm okay. I'm okay with the Kreider. Like, listen, at the beginning of the year, I was like, trade him. But you know what? I've always liked Kreider. I've never liked his inconsistency, but I do. The team I just love this team so much. I've never loved like a non-playoff team like this in my life.
It's because you are excited about the
But
future.
they're every game they don't give up. Like they're always in it. It's so much fun to
That's
watch.
fun, and you appreciate it as a fan so much more when you see that out of the guys you're cheering for.
Yeah, exactly. Brady Shea, I'm upset because when Brady Shea first came on to the Ranger squadron, I was like, oh, this guy's the man. I loved him.
A lot of people did.
No, he was great. He's mobile. He can skate. He's a power play guy. Like he can do it all. And he's going to be really good for the Hurricanes. I mean, that's a good get for them as they make a playoff run. But I do think that with Jacob Trouba coming in, big free agent signing last summer, you've got the emergence of Tony DeAngelo, which I was questioning last year, and now he's like top 10 defense, or he's top 5, I think, in points for all defensemen in the league. And you've got rookie Adam Fox, who is just lights out. Ryan Lindgren has just been an absolute, they call him warrior. Like for like in like the last like 9-game stretch, he's been hit in the face with pucks, sticks, and stuff. Like he's bleeding from his face almost every game.
And that's why hockey players are different.
I love it. Anyways, but like he just wasn't fitting anymore, so he was going to be moved in the offseason anyway.
So
I'm
you
not,
like the moves overall?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Besides Brady Shea, who you had an attachment to.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have him down the stretch, but like I'm not bent out of shape over it.
No, and like at the end of the day, it's for the long-term success.
No, listen, I know.
We just had
I'm all in on the Rangers.
almost more than half of a show on hockey. How do you feel about that?
I feel incredible.
All right, good. Can we switch to baseball now?
Yeah, let's go. Great crossover sport.
Great crossover sport. Ruben, we are about to get it going here on Supermarket Sweep Shuffle Ask Rocky Questions portion of the program. Can we pop that awesome music on in the background?
The Winter Classic was announced in Minnesota, by the way. The Minnesota Twins.
All right. Here we go. Let's get the baseball talk going. It's spring training. It's 2020. The weather is warm outside, not where we are. And I got some baseball questions for you. All right?
Yes.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Question number 1, okay? Who has a better year? This is now the New York Metropolitans. Robinson Cano or Yoenis Cespedes?
Oh, I want to say Cespedes so bad.
I know you do.
I think actually Cespedes could play well if they don't let him play in the months of April. And he only plays from...
So when it's warm out.
Yeah, he's not allowed to play when it's cold, and he'll have the best season ever. But I think long term, I actually think... You know what? No, I'm sticking with Cespedes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think Cespedes can have it.
Well, they did have a Stern talking to about how he needs to be locked in, so hopefully that helps.
I think he's playing for money this year, so he should be good.
Yeah, so it's what we just talked about with Kreider.
Yeah.
Okay, 100%. I'm going to go with Cespedes as well, just because I think I've lost faith in Robinson Cano. Okay, moving on. Who gets hit more? Meaning, who gets plunked in the back because they're a Houston Astro more? Carlos Correa or Jose Altuve?
Altuve for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I just think he's a little... For whatever reason, I think he garners more public attention than Carlos Correa.
Okay, all right. Well, see, I disagree with you. I think Correa, because he's spoken more about the situations he's coming into spring training.
Okay, yeah.
And called out other players.
All right, so then maybe if the fans were throwing baseballs,
It'd be Altuve,
for
yeah.
sure, right?
100%.
Yeah.
All right, third baseball question I have for you. Who is going to be the best first-year manager? David Ross of the Chicago Cubs or Luis Rojas of the New York Metropolitans?
I actually think they both have really good teams.
Yeah, they do.
And I think it's a critical moment for David Ross because the team is either going to be really good or they're going to be
really
like,
bad. They're not going to be,
It's hit or miss. But I want to stay close to home. I want to say Luis Rojas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't agree with you. This is me putting my fanhood aside for a second. Just because I believe David Ross was a manager before David Ross became a manager. And he has relationships. I think he played with 11 guys on the current roster. He built relationships almost like a father figure in that locker room when they won the World Series, more so than he did as a player.
Yes.
Last question. More likely to win the World Series, the New York Yankees or the Los Angeles Dodgers?
Yankees.
Wow.
I don't know what it is about the Dodgers, but I mean the Dodgers to me just seem like a team who is trying to do what the Yankees do without the legacy that the Yankees have.
Fair.
But
But they've been pretty successful the last 5 years.
they have been very successful, but they can't get past. They can't get into the World Series.
You don't give any, leeway to the fact that they went against the Astros cheating twice?
Nah.
All right. I'm going to say the Dodgers, just because I do feel like there's a chip on their shoulder and they might break through. I really do feel that way.
The Yankees, this is what Aaron Judge's 4th year. Like,
Yeah.
They're just
It's
the
now
year
or not.
It's the year for the Yankees, though.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Well, so we don't agree to this. We just disagree.
Yeah.
On 3 of the 4 of them.
Yeah, that's great. That's great for the show.
That's great for the show. Rube, you can cut the music, my man. We got to come up with a name for that segment. We got to get a sponsor for that segment, but I kind of like Supermarket Sweep Shuffle Ask Rocky Questions. I really think that's really a good title for that segment.
Yeah, no, it's a great one.
All right, I want to stick in Major League Baseball, okay? Because there's so much we can talk about. And, some of it's the fact that the Mets and what we're feeling. And I thought Cano and Cespedes was a great way to kind of bring that up. The other thing was the fan reaction to the Houston Astros in their first spring training game. And I don't know if people saw this, but some dude had the most clever sign I've ever seen in my entire life. It was just it was a white cardboard piece of paper, cardboard sign. He wrote Houston, and then an asterisk, then a apostrophe, and an S. As in, not the Houston Astros, but the Houston Asterix.
Wow.
Well, I think this is wrong, in my opinion. What's wrong is not the sign, it's the fact that the Houston Astros had the man kicked out of the stadium
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
for bringing the sign in.
Yeah, it's too bad.
So does that mean that every single game, because this is going to happen every game.
Every game.
I mean, go ask Alex Rodriguez what this is like, because that's going to mirror what we're kind of going to experience from this team from a fan reaction.
But what we've seen already is that there's not one Houston Astro who can handle it.
They can't, not at all.
They can't handle it. I mean, A-Rod is just a boss.
Nor can the organization.
No, it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's
a
really
mess.
it's really not good. You got to hope Dusty Baker can just kind of stabilize everybody.
When you talk about fall from grace, can you think about sports franchises that have fallen farther quicker in terms of fan respect and appreciation than the Houston Astros?
I don't even think it's that low yet. I think it's going to get worse as the season opens up. If they don't play well or if they continue to not be able to handle the pressure from a media standpoint, I actually think it might get worse for them.
And here's my thought, right? It's a lose-lose situation for the players.
It's going to get and if they suck.
But if they're good, it's still going to get worse, because then it's just going to be more of a stop cheating. Like, how are they cheating now? Like, what are they doing to cheat now?
I think the problem with them winning is the way the players have reacted, because they're going to get more aggressive with the media.
Yes, right.
So much more aggressive.
Like, why are you saying that we're cheating right now when you know that we're not cheating?
But you got to be careful, because that could be like a Bad Boys Yankees thing from last year, where they're like, hey, everyone hates us. That's fine. We're going to go win the World Series again.
Right. Well, they didn't win the World Series.
No. But no, I'm saying like the Astros could be.
Oh yes,
hey,
I got it.
Like, everyone hates us. That's fine. We're still
chip
gonna
on the shoulder.
No doubt.
We're gonna go beat all of you.
Like, because if I'm in that locker room, if I'm Dusty Baker, that's what I have to sell.
Yeah, like, dude, who cares, right? They're gonna hate you if you win. They're gonna hate you if you lose. So go out and stick it to all of them and hoist the World Series championship at the end of the 2020 season, and no one has anything to say to you.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a lot of sign removal along
That's
the
a
way.
lot of sign removal.
Along the way.
My assumption is going to be they're going to have to start removing them at the entrance.
Yeah.
How are you going to wait until people hold the sign up and then kick them out of the
It's going
stadium?
to be pure censorship. Like, what's on that sign?
Yes, and would you assume that the Houston local broadcast, television-wise, probably looks to not show those signs on TV?
Only if it's run by the Astros organization.
which the local one most likely is.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Very-
who's making the call there.
Yeah.
That's who's making. Someone from upstairs is like, go get that guy with the sign.
Yes. Some dude was sitting in
That's
his
not the
press
ballpark.
box.
That's
no, that's the brass of the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really interesting, but I needed to give that man props for the creativity of the sign with which he brought into the stadium and got ejected for.
I know. They just got to own it, man. Let it happen.
We have an NL Central preview for the Romo Sapiens. We're going to get to that in a few minutes, okay? Because we want to talk Metropolitans. I'm excited about the Metropolitans. I'm a little worried about their bullpen. And I am a little worried about the older players on their roster. It feels to me like we're coming into a situation where the Mets are going to be relying heavily on older players in spots where you just don't want to have to rely on them.
Which spots are you talking about?
Up the middle, our backup second baseman to Robinson Cano is Jed Lowry, who didn't play the whole year last year.
So he's well rested.
Cespedes in left field.
I don't think Cespedes isn't starting in left field.
Eh.
He's not starting in left field.
So you think he's just going to be a bench player all year?
He's not, but he's not starting in left field. Like, he's going to come off the bench in left field and then stay there once he hits like 30 home runs,
And then the back end of our pitching staff.
which is always an issue.
Yeah, but to go from your back end being a Zach Wheeler and a Steven Matz,
They should honestly, if the Mets should go 6-man rotation from the gate until the All-Star break and then let them loose,
why?
because I think that they're serviceable enough to get you 4 to 6 innings on days 4 and 5, on days 5 and 6, and you're gonna sit in mid-May. You're gonna skip a rotate. You're gonna skip a start. Or if you are playing well, you're going to be like, oh, did he throw too many innings? And there's going to be an innings count, and there's all this. Like, there's nothing more that I hate than when you get into August, you get into September, and you get into October, and you're talking about a pitch count on Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, and on your top 2 starters, and you're like, no, I need you to throw 8 innings.
Yes.
When you can't throw 8 innings, we're going to the playoffs.
Right.
So, like, why not just get ahead of it? Like, why not just extend preseason into the season? Like, you play 162 games. Like, you got to be able to manufacture a couple wins through your bullpen.
It's like load management in the NBA.
Exactly, but why not? But why not do 6-man rotation if you're talking innings count all the time?
I agree with you 100%. Does it happen, though? I don't know.
Nah, it's not going to happen. I've been saying 6-man rotation for 3 years.
Yeah, but there are a lot of teams that have started to adopt a similar thought process to that. It might not be a quote-unquote 6-man rotation, but it might be a scenario where they do what is referred to commonly as a bullpen day.
Oh God! But see,
The opener.
the bullpen day sucks.
Well, yeah, it's because it just shows you what depth you do or don't have in your bullpen.
And
The new rules in Major League Baseball are going to change a lot.
Yeah, no, they are, and I hate that. Like, oh, let's throw one person 1 inning for 9. Like, go get your starter ready and let him throw 7 to 8 innings.
I understand that. But the thing is, it's not whether or not you want that to happen. Every manager wants one pitcher to throw 8 clean innings.
Isn't it incredible
But it
that
can't-
45 years ago, with zero athleticism and zero care for nutrition, you could sit up there and throw a guy for 150 pitches?
You still could. The
And-
difference is the longevity in the career won't be there. Those guys didn't
Why?
play
We have
15
better.
years.
We're better at math and science and physical attributes.
I
Like, we're stronger.
But in the same breath, I would still say that back then there was probably less injury.
That's my point. That's my point. You should be able to throw just as long, or like you shouldn't have to worry about an innings count now when you have better built athletes.
But I think the problem is because we have the math and the science that you're talking about, we're almost too smart for our own good.
yeah, I hate analytics.
You know what
in
I'm
baseball.
saying?
In baseball, analytics is the worst. It's
Why?
worse.
Well, I mean, in degrees, yes. I think it's necessary in areas.
I mean, how about this? I have a 5-game hitting streak, and then some dude is gonna give me a piece of paper that says, "Hey, man, you're only gonna you have you bat 182 versus lefties tonight, so we're gonna go ahead and sit you." You're like, "What, dude?
No, I agree with you
I'm
in that
seeing a
area.
baseball and I'm hitting baseball. I've been on 5-game hitting streak. You're gonna sit me down because I'm throwing against a lefty?"
Well, that's the hypocrisy of what happens with the people, as Michael Kay calls them, the pinhead suits. That's what happens when you have guys up top making decisions that they are not baseball equipped to make. There's a lot of feel. And I'm a baseball coach myself who, coming into this radio show, was on the phone with our head coach building our lineup for this coming up Saturday. And you're managing emotions, talking about how guys will respond to not starting, where they should play, right? That's also what goes into my feels about Cespedes. Okay, so you don't believe he's going to be a full-time starting left fielder. Well, then I don't believe he's going to have a good year.
He's going to start.
Yeah,
He's just not going to start the year starting.
Okay, right. I hear that. Don't disagree with you. But what happens if the person starting in front of him, whether it's a one Jeff McNeil, okay?
Who are the options?
You have a Jeff McNeil. You obviously know Michael Conforto's in center field. You have Brandon Nimmo,
Okay.
Yoenis Cespedes,
Yes.
and I'm forgetting the fifth outfielder.
It's a good guy. He's good.
He's a good defensive
He just hit a home
outfielder.
run the other day. I saw it on Twitter.
It's not Dexter Fowler, but
I
it's
think his name's
someone like
Chris.
Dexter.
I think it's Chris something. Anyways, but that's a good.
We'll call him Chris for the rest of the show.
All I'm saying is if you end up with Brandon Nimmo, Michael Conforto, and Yoenis Cespedes as your three outfielders, that's a good deal. And
I'd rather McNeil.
Why doesn't he play the infield?
He should play the infield, but they're not going to start him over Robinson Cano, even though he was an all-star last year.
Who's playing third base?
Oh, maybe Jeff McNeil. Well, J.D. Davis.
Okay, well that makes more sense. Who's
Right?
playing first base?
Pete Alonso.
Yeah, he's the man.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
So,
Jeff
I mean-
McNeil's going to be your ultimate utility man. Third base, probably some left field, probably some first base on a day Pete Alonso needs off, probably a second base.
Name me
on
a
days
World
Robinson
Series
Cano.
team that doesn't have a world-class utility player.
Oh, I agree with you. DJ LeMahieu, prime example.
That's what I'm
Not a World
saying.
Series team, but an ALCS contender.
I mean,
on the Yankees.
Jeff McNeil's gonna play 80 games.
No, I'm pumped. I'm just saying I don't know if we're better having Cespedes on the lineup when a guy like McNeil could play almost 162 games and hit 300.
I mean, listen, I agree with you because
You love Jeff McNeil.
When it comes to Jeff McNeil, like, dude, he's a primetime hitter. You kind of have to start him.
He is the Daniel Murphy of his time for the Mets.
In reality, it's not McNeil who's on the hot seat. It's Conforto and Nimmo.
Yes, well, Nimmo more than Conforto because Conforto had a good year last year.
But they love Nimmo.
They do love Nimmo because of his speed, and he's a left-handed stick. You don't get left-handed sticks with that speed that often. And he's got the defense tool. He's got a good arm. He just has not put it together consistently yet in his career, which, if I go back on the history of the Metropolitans, sounds like every freaking prospect not named David Wright.
Yeah, honestly, like, what if what happens is you have McNeil, Conforto, and Nimmo so good that you have to get rid of Cespedes, like, that's okay.
That's a great thing. I agree. The concern, though, then comes back into the infield.
No depth, though. No
Right?
depth. And
You're talking about Ahmed Rosario being a decent to good shortstop defensively. You're talking about Robinson Cano being an under-average second baseman. You're talking about Pete Alonso being close to an average first baseman, and you're talking about J.D. Davis being slightly above average as a defensive third baseman. With a pitching staff that is not a high-volume strikeout pitching staff, when guys are going to put the ball in play, it scares me a little bit.
Ahmed Rosario just had the best season of his career.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm still
Can
realistic.
Jed Lowry play shortstop?
He can a little bit, but he better not be starting. Maybe a few games here and there.
I mean, is that an option?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not Luis Rojas. Yeah, I should say I'm not Brody Van Wagenen.
Dude, see, I mean,
I'm not Jonah Hill
as
from
we-
the movie.
as we continue to talk about the Mets here, I'm actually just becoming more and more excited about their ability to be good.
I agree. I think there is depth there. It's just that it's not from the starting situation, not as locked down as sometimes you would like it to be, because there are a few parts of their lineup that have question marks that will and are going to be answered. You just hope they're answered in the way that takes you over that hump from being a playoff contender to in the playoffs.
I mean, I think the best thing about all these guys, though, is that when you hear their names, you're like, oh, at least he's a hitter.
Yes, you need the offense.
You know, he's a hitter.
So, all right, while we have a few minutes here left on the show, I want to give people the NL Central preview. Okay, we did the we did the NL East last week. So we're going to continue in the National League, and we are going to go with the NL Central. Okay, so Before Rocky gives you his rundown, I'm going to give you the 2019 final standings from the National League Central. The St. Louis Cardinals won that division. They were 91-71 and made a run to the NLCS before they lost the eventual NLCS champion, Los Angeles Dodgers. The Milwaukee Brewers, who won the division in 2018, finished with an 89-73 record. Chicago 84-78, Cincinnati 75-87, and the Pittsburgh Pirates 69-93.
Nice.
Rock, give the people your 5-team, because the NL Central is a 5-team division. NL Central rundown.
I have the Cincinnati Reds taking first place in the NL Central.
Wow.
Most active team in the offseason,
Yep.
right? They
Good
did
rotation.
great rotation. Joey Votto, this could revitalize him.
But he is so good already.
I know. And many people out there think that he's on a tail end, right? Maybe on a decline, but I think with what they did in the offseason, you might find a Joey Votto of old.
Yes.
I've got the Cubs coming in second place. And I think
So you are selling high on David Ross.
Listen. I looked at the depth chart, and I mean between their rotation and some of the pieces like Chris Bryant, like they're good. Like they're a good team, and you've got Rizzo who's up for an extension, playing for money, right? So you've got a lot of good pieces there, and I don't see why they can't just win. Now I do see them faltering maybe a little bit because you go from David Ross from Joe Madden, like it's a completely different style of game.
Sure, you're
that
right.
you're playing and
And
managing.
your pitching rotation is not really deep,
No, it's good. It's good.
but it's not deep.
Yes. So I got the Cubs. Then I've got the Brewers, who are also a kind of a question mark, right? Their pitching is suspect, but it's a good team. Then I've got the Cardinals, who I think are just getting old. But the Cardinals will be in the mix for a while just because their organization is so
Always
good.
in the mix for a while.
Right, and they're very similar. Without the World Series, I mean, not really the World Series accolades that you would think of like the Patriots, but they have a system similar to the Patriots where their depth throughout their from AAA all the way down to single A is incredible.
Yeah, it's a great
Right,
run
so it's just a
organization.
great organization, and I've got the Pirates in last place.
Wow. Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you in an area, okay? I believe that the St. Louis Cardinals are going to come in second place in this division, and they're going to finish in the wild card.
Ooh,
I do also believe with you that the Cincinnati Reds will be good. I don't believe that they're ready to be a playoff contender, okay? I love the Trevor Bauer trade, okay? But I think it comes down to them being in a place where it's not often you go from 75 wins to 90 and in the playoffs. That's a tough thing to do. I do believe, however, they will compete for a wild card up until the last week of the year. So I have it finishing as Chicago. I told you, I'd selling high on David Ross.
I know.
I love him. I think that, to your point, they have the talent and the offense to overcome the pitching, and plus this is a division with question marks. So it's going to be a rando that could win it, just like St. Louis last year.
No doubt.
So I got Chicago, then St. Louis, then Cincy. I think it's going to be a down year for Milwaukee, who I've sold high on the last 2 years, and Pittsburgh's just terrible. You won't call me in 5 years when you figure out what's going on in that organization. I do think they'll get two teams in again, though. Just like they did last year with St. Louis and Milwaukee, I think it's going to be a Chicago-St. Louis scenario.
It's going to be tight. It's going to be
is.
tight. The only thing you got to look at for the Reds is outside of there is pockets of baseball organizations that can make quick hits and get in, i.e. Kansas City Royals 2 years in a row, right? Even some of the Detroit Tiger teams haven't been historically
Oakland
long-term
A's.
great, but they figure out a way to get in for 2 years, be relevant.
Oakland
right?
A's.
So did the Reds make enough to make that splash?
I agree, and I got a little bit of a personal there or want to see success because our head coach at FDU, Jamie Quinn, his good buddy from his time in the Diamondbacks organization, J.R. House, is entering his second year as the third base coach for the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, so he's got a great windmill.
And I've met Housey, met him at the baseball convention in 2015 in Nashville, Tennessee, and Housey is a great dude. When you talk about baseball guy, J.R. House is that awesome individual, and would be pretty cool to see some success out of somebody that I don't necessarily know personally, but I've met and have a buddy that knows really well, and I think that'd be pretty cool. So I do hope that happens. I think they finish about 85 to 87 wins, somewhere in that. So that's your Rome Show NL Central preview. We've got a minute or two left on this show. We can't end a show without a little Romalytics, okay? And I did this strictly for you.
Yes.
Okay, because I believe that with this, and if you don't know, you got to read the story. It's kind of crazy, but 2 New York Rangers were in a car accident last night in Brooklyn. Was it Shesterkin?
Igor
Igor
Shesterkin
Shesterkin, the
and Pavel Buchnevich,
goaltender for the Rangers, and Buchnevich, who is a
forward,
for the Rangers.
winger, second line winger.
Shesterkin is no longer going to be able to play this year, which means that Henrik Lundqvist, the Hall of Fame goaltender for the Rangers, is probably going to be thrust into some more action than people thought was going to happen. My prediction, something happens to where Lundqvist has to start, he gets hot, end of his career, one last run, takes the Rangers on a playoff run. So your Romolytics today are the career statistics to Henrik Lundqvist, because I want to remind you people about how good this man has been
Hank.
over the course of his career. 885 games played, 459 wins to 309 losses. And in a sport like hockey, the win-loss record for a goalie freaking matters.
Oh, that matters.
Because I bet he legitimately 100 of those games was literally the reason why they won those games.
I think his first 8 seasons he had over 30 wins every season.
He's got 96 overtime wins. And this is my favorite stat of all. A 2.43 goals against average.
It's really good.
885 games.
I know.
He gives up less than 2.5 goals a game.
That's right.
Henrik Lundqvist, mark my words now, on the Rome Show is about to lead the Rangers on a special run.
Let's go, baby.
Mic drop. This has been the Rome Show, February 24th, 2020 on Hamilton Radio, hamiltonradio.net, channel 2, and facebook.com/the Rome Show. Remember, share the show, get it out there, keep tuning in. We will be back with you next Monday, March 2nd at 7 p.m. to chat it up with you on the latest in the sports world. I am Andrew Romanella. That is Rocky Romanella. We are the Rome Show.
Have a great night.
And we are getting out of here. Peace.
To become a better leader, whether that's in business, in sports, or in life, and you haven't found a book yet to help you get to that game-changing aha moment, well, we have the book for you. Tighten the Lug Nuts, the principles of balanced leadership. Tighten the Lug Nuts will help you get to that game-changing leadership moment. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iBooks, or at 360managementservices.com. That's the number 360managementservices.com. Pick up your copy today and start changing your leadership styles.
Do this look like work to you? Nah, looking at the lights like it's all of this for me. Everyone tonight is here, all of this for me. Hands in the air, yeah, all of this for me. Bottles over here, all of this for me. All of this for me.